We started out with pods, stuffed pizza, flat pizza, because my brother Jim lived in Chicago, and he said to us, he says, come on over, look what these guys are doing. And at that point, I wasn't working and Dan wasn't working. And so we looked at the stuffed pizza that they have in Chicago and said, we can do that, no problem. And we found a spot, took all our savings, put it in there, and that was the little spot. 2 salads, 1 kind of cookie, very limited selection of beers.
We differ because pizza is not our main item. It's really the pod. And then stuffed pizza is another item. And then craft beers also separates us from a standard mom and pop pizzeria.
My name is Bob Syracuse. I am co-owner of the Pizza Plant Italian Pub Restaurants with my brother Dan.
My name is Dan Syracuse. I am the VP of Pizza Plant Restaurant and been doing this for 30 years.
What was in my childhood that inspired me to open a restaurant? I think I always had a passion for cooking. I have a dual passion. Besides, I like history. That's a tri-passion, I guess we can call it. But I like automobiles. I like to cook. I like to be creative. I think cooking is a very good outlet to be creative with. I picture this as my palate.
You know, I don't know if there's anything in my childhood besides my mom and all the Italian relatives being very food-centric. Always wanted to, the groups would get together every Sunday, all the family and friends, and it was a celebration of not just the relatives, but food. The name Pizza Plant started with a lot of drawings that we did originally for our original sign and the logo that we were always bouncing around on what to call this place. And I think at one point we drew a plant with pod coming off of it, stuffed pizza, etc. And that, you know, so we had pizza plant. Hey, it's perfect. Our aims when we started to create the restaurant, I think, were to be unique and have quality. Those are the 2 things. And I think we had that basically from day one. You know, not just with the pod, but with the stuffed pizza, and then more things followed. And, you know, the environment, the menu, the music, the atmosphere, everything. We wanted to stand out.
The origins of the famous pod. But the pod, we were sitting around the pool one day, and this is when we finally decided that we're going to open up a restaurant. And we wanted a food that we could specialize it. You could make it to order for one person, and that was the pod. We had no idea if that would work or not. And we didn't, and calzone was never in our, we never had an idea about a calzone at that time.
How does a pod differ from a calzone? Well, besides a pod being trademarked, and besides a pod being folded in a much different format than a calzone, and available with different doughs and made in a proprietary cooking vessel. It may have some roots in a calzone.
We try to do everything fresh. As much as we possibly can is made on premises here.
Why do we want to offer healthy foods, and why do we want to offer vegan options and food that is generally better for you than your standard pizzeria? Because we want to eat that way ourselves, I think. And it's not like really being selfish or self-serving. I think it's also that we want to educate people the same way we do with offering better beer and better wines, because I think that's kind of our duty. You know, we want to be good for the community, good for the environment, good for your body. The beers that we provide are selected on the basis of their quality, number one. You're going to find things that a lot of times people have never heard of. And I will always try to provide a variety and the best of each variety. Starting with, the lighter beers. Instead of offering a light beer like people would say, oh, do you have Miller Lite or Labatt's Light? Some of those things, we'll put them in a bottle for those people who are die-hard fans that want to have that. But on tap, there's a German Kolsch beer. There is an amazing Hefeweizen out there that you'll find from Long Trail, Holy Moses from Great Lakes. Those are the light beers that I'll introduce people to. They're flavorful and they're craft beers. Atmosphere that we strive for, I would say, would be comfortable, would be relaxing, at the same time stimulating, so it's not boring, and kind of fun. You want to have people want to come to your place.
The comfortable environment, the fact that we have music here at our Transit Road store every Saturday night, that we have won a couple awards for having the best taps, that we have food that is pretty eclectic. I think we're tickled with that. People call us the pod. Sometimes I'm going to the pod, I love every part of this restaurant. It's like air. You need it to live. And the restaurant at this point is not requirement for me to exist, but it is all-encompassing. We have 85 people that work for us. We feel responsible for them, and it really is it affects you in a. It's one of these businesses that we're open 7 days a week, so there's never a break from your mind that this restaurant is always operating. It's always going. We always have tons of future plans. I think people, I think this is endemic to people in the restaurant business. They like to think of big, We are right now in the process of creating a franchise agreement so that we can offer this to people with our rules and regulations and policy, and produce pizza plants that they can own for themselves and hopefully and make a life for themselves. And that's one. We'd like to expand to another store.
Like our one logo said, and one little byline was, you never can outgrow the plant. And we mean that in more ways than one, and I think the future holds more plants to be cultivated.